We're going to dive into Cardano today and take a look at the current price action to see where we're at, to give us a little bit more clarity with where we can see price going in the future. If you followed the video that we made in Cardano about a month ago, I think we will be pretty happy with how we managed to stay on the right side of the market, where what we spoke about was adding into areas of value, and at about $1.25, $1.30 where we were at that time, that wasn't an area that I'd be comfortable to add in, because reaching about that dollar level seems to be like a massive magnet for Cardano, and is an area where we typically see reactions from in the past, and that we would expect some sort of rejection or resistance at about that $1.50 level, which is exactly what we got. If you want to check out that video that we made on Cardano about a month ago, I will link the video above so that you can actually see for yourself, exactly what we were talking about. My job on this channel, okay, is not only to give you a little bit more clarity on the markets, show you those areas of values to buy into and teach you some new things, but also to make sure that my videos do not age like moldy bread. I do my best to put out content that will age very well and, gives you that clarity in the market, so that if you were to look back at that video, in some point later on in the future, then you can look back at that and go, do you know what, that was pretty sound advice. Doesn't always work out, but that's what we try to do. I'm always careful with, people online that try to give you absolute terms like Cardano is definitely going to $5 or it has to go to these price levels, okay? I just use the facts and the charts to try to give you, that clarity in the market so that you can maneuver and stay on the right side. With that said, drop me a big fat like down below if you're liking the content so far on the channel and you want me to continue putting out more videos. It shows me that you like this sort of stuff and you want me to continue. And also, like I said, subscribe to the channel to keep up to date with when I put out all my videos. With that said, let's get straight into Cardano with where we're at the moment. Now, when it comes to Cardano, we are essentially range bound between these two key areas, which are about obviously the dollar level, which we've seen major reactions from in the past. You can see here where it's either led us onto new all-time highs, or we've had capitulations wicks down to the bottom of here, and we've so far seen a reasonable bounce of about 37% from the lows in January. Above us, we've got the resistance clearly at about $1.60, where we've seen multiple retests before. So no surprise that we basically reached that $1.60 level and rejected from there the second time. Now, I don't want to be the bearer of bad news when it comes to Cardano, but like I said, I'm just reading the facts in the chart to you as I see them, and I suggest that you do the same. Take the emotion out of trading and investing, and just trade and buy what you see. And what I can see at the minute is essentially we've had these big reactions from $1 in the past, but at the moment you have to be honest and say, look, this reaction that we've got at $1 is nowhere near as strong as the ones that we've had in the past, right? If you also look at the sell-off that we've had, not only has it been a sustained downtrend, which we are still very clearly in, but we've had this this mini little double top back in December, January, and when we reached $1.60 and rejected from that level first time, I'll just drop this down to the daily. You can see that we retested this area and really just fell apart even quicker. So this is telling you that there isn't a lot of strength in the market, at least at that moment, to send Cardano higher. So at the minute we're range bound somewhere between $1.60 and 95 cents. But I'm not really liking this price action over here. You can see that what we want to do for the bulls to take control and for us to show strong momentum to the upside, we need to start having reactions like this. So either Cardano needs to get a move on, or it is at risk of breaking key market structure and moving to the downside. And those targets below us are going to be about 70 cents and 40 cents, which we'll go over in a moment. Cardano is below all of its key Fibonacci exponential moving averages, further showing us that there is that momentum to the downside. You can see that on the daily, okay, that we're below all of them and getting rejected at the top band. So that's why we're not really seeing that big strength in the market. And you can see that when we've had crossovers before, both to the upside and to the downside, okay, that has led to some sustained moves for Cardano. So Until we really break above really this 55 daily EMA, okay, and start creating some market structure that wants to take us higher. So we need to start taking out some of these pivots over here at about $1.25 to even start talking about challenging $1.60. You know, and start creating that market structure to move higher. So we really need to start to see the key moving averages start to shift, and you can see exactly the same thing on the weekly. Yeah, and I'll just show you that, you know, the Fib EMAs on the weekly, we're looking like we might get a crossover as well. So, you know, basically sustained move to the downside, and, you know, we're even really struggling to test a 21 EMA, but won't every time we do test the daily, also the weekly EMA 21, which is the blue line, you can see that we're not that we're, you know, we're basically getting rejected from here every time we get there, and we're not able to get any closes. And usually, you know, the EMA 21 is a really good indicator on most coins. And on Cardano, okay, to show you where the momentum is, at least in the short term, okay? So if we continue to get rejected from here, expect lower prices. I don't tell you this to be like, you know, don't want to be the bearer of bad news, but I'm just telling you it as I see it and the facts in the chart. And, you know, if we do break this massive floor support down here at about, you know, 95 cent, and we're looking for some daily closes and some weekly closes at about below $1, so at about 95 cent, then I would expect prices to move lower. And you have to think about it like this as well, in that when we get these big areas of, you know, accumulation and you know, basically consolidation precedes expansion, right? The reverse also has to be said up here. So is this some kind of distribution pattern? We're not exactly sure yet, okay? The strength of the trend is, you know, showing me that it is weakening. And although we can have some pumps to the upside, until we start getting above those key moving averages, this could be one massive distribution pattern. Okay, and if we do move lower and break this key floor support, because this area is such a key area of market structure, as soon as we break that, I think that things could turn ugly and violent, you know, pretty quick. So I am very much aware that if we do get that break over here, that we could move down to that 70 cent level. 70 cent is the key level for me, because if we look at the Fibonacci 786, that's taking us down to 70 cents. And if we have a look at the monthly closes, right, we can see that the previous all-time high was also closing around this level. So I do expect 70 cent to be some sort of area of support should we break there. And I do think that if we break, right, we do not know, but if we do break $1, I would imagine, and we get that, you know, that clean break to the downside, I imagine that that is going to be a violent move to the downside. Might that coincide with what else is happening in the market? Sure, but, you know, that's also what the charts are telling you as well. So like I said, just look out for that level. And we also had like you know, a little bit of a liquidation wick on our way to the upside over here as well. So that's the first port of call that I would be looking for ADA to pause at if we broke down from here. Below that, I'd be looking at this price cluster over here as potential area of support at about 40 cent if we do get that move lower. Like I said, I'm just making you aware of these levels. I'm not saying that we necessarily go to there, but 40 cent to 70 cent would be a really nice area to add if you get that opportunity, because this was also the consolidation right in the middle of the big expansive move, which I'm not sure if that would provide ultimate support, right? But, you know, just something to be aware of, so that, you know, you're not caught out of the market moves to the downside. Now let's take a look at some of the cases to move to the upside. Okay, and like I said, we've got this resistance over us at about $1.60, and the first thing you want to do is, I would say pretty soon, right, is we want some sort of big break or violent move, something similar to this, right, where we can come up and attack this range at $1.60, but this time we want to break it, and we want some sort of sustained move, really, okay, to show us that we're going to create that momentum moving higher, potentially to all-time highs, okay, and maybe move into that $2 region and, you know, attack this area of resistance over here, where we were holding $2 or about $1.90 as support, and then we want to come down to this area which we broke out from and retest that as support and move higher. That's the sort of market structure that you are looking out for Cardano to move to the upside from now. But like I said, there's not really too much to say here, apart from just be aware, especially given current market conditions with the uncertainty and where Bitcoin is at the minute, and where Bitcoin is, you know, typically loitering at slightly lower levels, that altcoins can tend to perform you know, pretty poorly versus Bitcoin. So yeah, just watch out for that. If we drop it down to the ADA Bitcoin chart, this is also going to give us a little bit more confluence and probably give us as much, I think, you know, indication at where the price might be headed and where bottom prices might be for Cardano as much as the USD chart. Because like I said, we're always looking for confluence with these altcoins for both the USD and the Bitcoin chart, right? But you know, last time we were speaking about basically breaking down from that 3,000 sat level, and the ultimate support would be about 44% lower at about 1,800, 2,000 sats. And at the time, people sent me a few messages saying, no, that's never going to happen. Well, we're already halfway there. We tried to retest the zone that we spoke about was key to basically move above and you know, hold a support. We did not do that. We got a massive wick to the upside at about 3,500 sats, and since that big rejection from that area, we've continued to fall. But what we do have is, you know, this you know, descending trend line, which I think is something to take note of. You know, the really key trend lines are the most important ones, right, for me. So you know, somewhere in and around this area, maybe we grind down a little bit lower over here and, you know, bumble around this trend line before we make any move up. But the real support for me is, like I said, is going to be at about 1,800. You can see where we've had major price reactions before. This is definitely going to be like one of the lowest volume areas on the chart because price doesn't hang around here for a very long time. So like I said, if we do get some sort of sustained move to the downside, just mark out these levels at about 1,800, 2,000 stats, and that whatever the price of Bitcoin is at that time, you know, that still might be a good area to dollar cost average into for Cardano, and maybe you can even swing that for a trade, because like I said, this is a high probability area, right, that we get some sort of move. And even if we move to up to, you know, half or some of those key levels above us, you know, you can easily make like a 50 to 100% move there. So that's why that's the key area for Cardano to look out for. Interestingly, on ADA Ethereum, the levels that we marked out still have been respected pretty well, right? So since that move that we had, we came up to, you know, this price action over here, at about you know, 5,000 or 0.000 you know, 5 ETH, and we got a nice rejection from this area, and so far we're just grinding down. So I'd be looking at this level as well as a real level to, you know, maybe trading some of your Ethereum back to Cardano, or look for that 0.0002 ETH level as an area of confluence for you know, price action to be buying up, and see if that matches up with some of the BTC and the USD areas that we marked out before. To be clear, some of those upside targets that I mentioned before in the past at about $5, $8, and $14 completely remains. I think that, you know, there is a good future for Cardano, but, you know, patience is going to be rewarded with this sort of coin, because we do get these big periods of, you know, long down trends and, you know, frustrating price action. But when Cardano does get moving, you can see, bang, you know, we get these massive moves to the upside. And even some of these intermediate moves that we get, you know, are even going to be like 200, 300, 400%. So just be patient with Cardano. Look at those areas of value to add into. I wish I could tell you something else in the charts at the moment, which is showing me that, you know, we want to move higher, and we've got a little bit more of that potential to move higher. But at the minute, prices are looking fairly suppressed, and I do think a move to the downside is more likely than the upside, especially given current market conditions. So I hope you got some clarity from that video. That gives you a little bit more perspective of where we're at the moment. You know, I'm not here to show you a bunch of hopium. I'm here to basically tell you the facts in the chart as I see them. Like the video, subscribe to the channel so that I can keep you up to date with more of these sort of videos. And I will see you guys in the next one. Peace out.